Welcome to the Muscle Expert Podcast with Ben Pakulski, one of the world's top professional bodybuilders, an expert on human performance and mindset mastery. Ben dives deep to deliver the strategies of the top experts to upgrade your body, mind, muscle, strength, performance, biochemistry, and how to become the upgraded modern man.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're sitting here with my great friend and mentor, Bedros Keuilian. We're going to talk about his brand new book, Man Up. Dude, tell me about this book. And, so the listeners know you've been such a massive influence on my life, both from afar and close. I joined your mastermind last year. I got tremendous value from that. And now that you're writing this book, I want to spread this message because you're such a great guy, man. You're loyal, you have integrity, you're a man of your word, and all those things are a part of the message that people need to hear.
Thank you.
So tell me about the book.
Yeah, so the book came out from just my desire to grow as a human and as an entrepreneur. In 2011, 2012, when I had first started Fit Body Bootcamp as a franchise, it wasn't the 714 location franchise that we have now. It was a baby franchise, a fitness chain that we were starting, and I was a massive failure. I was losing more franchises in 2011, 2012 than I was gaining each month. My employees would quit 3 to 4 at a time. I was passive aggressive. I was 35 pounds overweight. My relationship was falling apart and I was going broke. And it wasn't because it was a bad business model. It was because I was a bad leader and I had given up on self-development and I was simply trying to market and sell my way to success. And I realized very quickly in that time through reading a series of books, ironically about Navy SEALs, that the mission starts and ends with me. It's, in other words, leadership is the answer, nothing else. I didn't need better marketing. I didn't need better systems. I didn't need better sales. What I needed were the 6 pillars that I teach in this book and that I learned over a 5-year period that literally helped me turn not only my health, my mindset, my money, my relationship with my wife and kids, and my business around. And so really it was about the 6 pillars that I discovered, which was number 1, self-discipline. If I can't lead from the front, then I'm a hypocrite of a leader and I'm an imposter. And so I started to clean up my diet, wake up early in the mornings without hitting the snooze button. I had a morning routine, something that both you and I believe in. Once I was self-disciplined, then I was able to stop being a hypocrite and actually show my team that I could lead from the front and not just be a have-to leader. In other words, tell them, you have to do this, but if you don't, you're going to get in trouble because I'm going to be mean and angry and upset. Then it became better communication. The pillar number 2 is better communication, clear communication. Without communicating well, my team had no idea what we were doing.
That's a hard one for a lot of people.
It's a massively hard one, especially when guys like you and I grow up with trauma in our lives where we're supposed to be seen and not heard. And, talking means you might get a beating or talking means you might get in trouble. And so when I associate communication with obviously getting in trouble, I was a horrible communicator. That led to being passive aggressive and adversarial, both in business and in my relationships, right? And so then we have clarity of vision as a 3rd pillar. Clarity of vision is simple. Where do you want to go in life or in business, and when do you want to get there? If you know where do you want to go, like in my case, I wanted 2,500 locations with our Fit Body Bootcamp locations, but I had no deadline to it. So when you said, well, when do you want it? As soon as possible, Ben. Well, that's not a deadline that I can communicate to my team and they can execute on. So again, it was very frustrating when we had a moving target. It was only a dream. It became a vision when I can say, this is what I want, 2,500 locations, and I want it by the year 2023. Now we know that we have to sell 34 locations a month to get there. So after that 3rd pillar, then you have decisiveness. Most people don't know how to make a decision if their life depends on it, all right? And so I was the guy that was indecisive. I was the guy that didn't know how to pivot. I was the guy when the economy changed, I was trying to wait it out instead of moving and doing something, because even when you make the wrong decision, you'll know soon enough and you can pivot and make the right decision. In fact, General Norman Schwarzkopf once said that Americans are losing more money by being indecisive than by making a decision, even if it's the wrong decision where they can course correct. And he said this during the time of the early 90s war with Iraq, because we were just standing there in the desert waiting to invade, but Congress and the president couldn't decide, and we were losing money every day. So decisiveness is paramount, both in your relationship. You have to be a decisive human who can make a decision and course correct if you have to. No one's expecting you to make the right decision. And then, of course, there's emotional resilience as the 5th pillar. That's important because I'm a pretty emotional guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve. But in business, if you're an emotional person, you're going to be reactive. And I react and I would scream and shout and hoot and holler or be passive aggressive towards my staff. On the flip side, I would do the same thing with my wife and kids. And soon they begin to lose trust and respect towards you. Instead, I now respond to situations. As an entrepreneur, things are going to go wrong. Things will go wrong with your gym. Things will go wrong with your clients. Things will go wrong with your employees. Instead of reacting emotionally, respond strategically.
Talk to me about communication, because everybody, personally, maybe I'm speaking for everybody, mostly I'm speaking for myself. How do you begin to be a thoughtful communicator rather than being adversarial, like you say?
Very good question. The best way to become a thoughtful communicator is to say, what is the message that I want to transfer? And then once you know what outcome you want to transfer, I tell, show, do. So if you were, let's say, a web developer for me, and because I just recently had this conversation, I would say, hey, Ben, here's what I want our websites to do. I would tell you what I want done. And then I would say, here's a website that does something similar that I want it to do, right? Tell, show. And then I would say, now can you do it by this date? And I give them a deadline. Because part of communication is to give the person
set expectations
and a deadline. And so we don't do that. We say, hey, can you very quickly make a website that gets the email address and the phone number and puts it in this database? I said very quickly. Now,
sure.
To the web developer, very quickly might be 6 months.
Exactly.
Right. To you and I as entrepreneurs, I need it in the next hour.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Right. So we have to have, so it's tell, show, do. Tell them what you want, show them what you want it to do, and then ask them to do it by a deadline.
I want you to talk to me about decisiveness, because I know a lot of people are crippled by that. Now, that's a tough thing to get through your head sometimes. Is it the idea of making a decision no matter what it is and sticking with it? Most people can't even decide what they want at Starbucks or what they want at the restaurant, like, do you put a time limit on yourself? Like, I know you gave us some strategies at the mastermind. Talk about that.
You nailed it. And most people think that they have to make a decision and stick with it. That's the thing. You don't.
It's not going to change your life, right? Maybe it will. But
there is no one big decision other than death that's going to change your life. Everything else you can bounce back from. And I have to remind people that our former president, Bill Clinton, bounced back from making a very bad decision in the Oval Office, if you know what I mean, right? And so if he could bounce back from that, we can bounce back from any bad decision short of death. And so people go, well, how do I make decisions that are so scary, that involve money, that involve business, employees, family, maybe moving across the country? I go, before you make the big decisions, let's teach your subconscious mind that it's okay to make decisions. See, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between big decisions and small decisions. For example, we were going to drive here to this building, to this house. I could have used Uber or Lyft. Just make a decision. Uber it is. I didn't ask Jonathan there, hey, do you want to get the Uber or should I? I just did it, right? If you're going to go on a date with your wife next time, you could either him and ha, do we get steak or sushi? Do you want to go at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m.? Or you just say, hey, hon, why don't we get steak at 7 p.m.? And if she has a different opinion, she'll tell you. So make the smaller decisions fast. For example, do I wear shorts or long pants today? Make a decision. If it's the wrong decision, you can wear shorts tomorrow, right? But if you start making the smaller decisions quickly without him and hawing over it, you're teaching your subconscious mind that whenever I come to a fork in the road to make a decision, I make the decision, and if I have to course correct, I will. So then when the big decisions come up in life about business, about marketing, about investing, about marriage, about moving, you can make the decision quickly because you've trained your subconscious mind. That's the secret.
How do you implement self-discipline into your personal health?
You implement self-discipline in your personal health with one simple strategy. You get an easy win in the morning. For me, the easiest win was don't hit the snooze button. Like, that was a very easy self-discipline strategy, because I learned actually through a gentleman named Ed Milet that the best way to build your self-confidence is to make a promise to yourself and then to keep that promise.
Daily.
Every night we make a promise by setting that alarm, right? We make a promise to ourselves by setting our alarm, what time we're going to wake up. And then those who hit the snooze button, and I was guilty of this, and I'd hit it multiple times in the morning, I would break the promise to myself. And so I wanted to get a win. The smallest, easiest win wasn't to get out of bed and do healthy meal prep. That was a tough one for me. It was just don't hit the snooze button. Just keep that promise to yourself. And then I stacked that win with, okay, hey, you kept that promise. Great. Now wake up and go through your gratitude exercises. Holy cow, I stacked 2 wins. Now soon I add the third one. And before you know it, you have this. I don't know anyone who's been successful in life by making one big decision. It's stacking small wins on top of each other that build an amazing morning routine like you have, like I have, like our friend Craig Ballantyne has. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Where can people find your book?
Yeah, so it's real simple. They can find my book on manup.com or Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Chapters, and it's currently the #1 book on Amazon on leadership and peak performance. And it's not just about entrepreneurial performance, but it's about becoming the best version of yourself, reaching your fullest potential. Because people ask me, well, what does man up mean? Is it just for women? Or, is it just for men? And I say, no, it's about humaning up. As humans, we're the top of the food chain. And I believe that we need to man up and stop making excuses like I used to, take control of our situation like I finally did, and reach your fullest potential like I'm in the process of doing.
Love it, man. So if you guys go ahead and go over to iTunes and leave a review, I'm going to get Bedros to sign 2 of these books, and we're going to pick people who left a review telling us how awesome Bedros is and how he has changed your life. We're going to pick 2 people and send you a signed book from Bedros. Enjoy the day, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Join us on BenPokolski.com to learn the cutting-edge techniques to take control of your body, your brain, and create your greatest life.
This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Ben Pakulski and the producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.